We continue on breaking down these draft prospects that could potentially be a Chicago Bull. And on today's episode, we land on Egor Demin, Russian basketball player out of BYU. Does he fit with the Chicago Bulls? Is he Josh Giddey 2.0? Y'all know we're going to talk about it and break it down, but you got to hear the music first.
Cognac. Gang.
Shy Bulls podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on today's daily episode. If you're tuned in with me today, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. We are going to continue to break down these draft prospects as we get closer and closer to the NBA draft. And we're trying to see if the Chicago Bulls going to be about that life, finally, for once, to make some decisions. And I know there's going to be some people that be like, no more guards. But again, the Chicago Bulls make the decisions. This is probably one of the guys on their radar. So we're going to break it down right over here on Shy Bulls podcast. So the prospect is none other than Egor Demin. This guy's 6'9" with a 6'10" wingspan. Last year for BYU, 10 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 50% true shooting percentage, 27% from the three, and 69% from the free throw. This is a guy, is being reported, he moving up the draft charts just because how fluid he's looking, just because how good and well he's performing in front of all the NBA scouts. And I can't blame him. When you sit down and you actually watch the kid play, he got some damn game and he looked real good doing it. And I'm just saying, he's going to give you a lot of versatility with his size and what he's able to do. And it's very, very interesting. It's being reported coming out of the draft combine, this man at one point hit 16 threes in a row. I'm just saying. But hey, you can take it for what you will. It is, just, a workout nonetheless at the combine. And you can take that for what it is. But I think it's very impressive to put that on in front of those NBA scouts when you got to put up a shut up so you can make sure that you are drafted, so you can make sure you don't slip past wherever some teams had you going. Because in some mock drafts, we did see him being mocked to the Chicago Bulls. And then in some other drafts, we seen him being mocked to the Orlando Magic, who need a little bit more help at the point guard spot from, hearing that from some NBA scouts that are trying to break down this NBA draft. But when I turn on the clip, I look at Egor Demin as a guy. He got a lot of tools you can work with, bro. You got a lot of tools you can work with. And yes, I think he's a nice version of Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey, look, for all the crap that Josh Giddey gets, Josh Giddey is a guy with a multitude of tools in his bag, and Egor Demin brings that. Some of the things that I seen, playmaking ability. Just the ability to pass the rock, bro. He can swing it to the corner with ease. He can get down the lane and lob it up to a big, hopefully that we can get for as a lob threat. He's able to go in and penetrate with his driving ability and dump it off to a big for an easy slam. He's able to find his teammates. He plays basketball the right way that you want your point guard to go out there and play for your team. The passing, again, is just something that I believe is the best I've seen right now coming out of this draft. And he has some athleticism to him. He does, like I said, mimic some of those tools that we like in Josh Giddey. But this guy, when you talk about athleticism amongst the two basketball players, and I'm not trying to sell Josh Giddey short, don't get me wrong, but I think this guy right here is just a tad bit more athletic, not crazy athletic, but I think just a little bit more athletic as I was watching him. And then again, the fluidity that he plays with. I think that he's a really good fluid basketball player. The handle looks good. The shooting stroke looks good. The form looks really good. You see some things and you be like, hey, step back jumper. Oh, that look clean, little fella. Oh, tween, drive to the basket. Oh, that look clean, little fella. Are you getting out in transition too and slamming it? I like that about this young guy. And I know that the stats might not jump off the screen to anybody, but as a guy, you want this guy to be able to go out there and say we having dinner, and before y'all put the dinner on the table, he set the damn table. That's exactly how I feel about Egor Demin when I'm sitting down and watching him. I believe he can really set the table pretty damn well. And I do have my concerns, some questions. I don't think it's the end all be all for any prospect, as I always put out there. You don't know how these guys are going to come into the league unless you have like a generational talent. So it is what it is. But I do have some questions. What would his defense look like in the NBA? I believe he has the athleticism and the fluidity to be able to slide his feet pretty damn well. I would like to see how he improves on the defensive side of the ball. I'm not saying that he's a bad defender, but I think there's a different challenge when you come into the league with the way that it's so spaced, with the way that teams run so many pick and rolls and all these things to get open 3-point shots. Will he be able to, improve in that area and be able to slide that on over to the NBA game? I still think that he's a solid defender. I give him solid as a defender. You definitely see like sometimes some guys might blow past him a little bit, but he's able to recover and go out there and utilize his size and his length to go out there and get himself back in the play and be able to create, some type of disruption for himself or his teammates. And then another question I have is the shot creation for himself. You will see examples of that. Don't get me wrong. You will see examples of some solid shot creation by sitting down and just looking at this kid. But at the same time, you want to see how that translate over into the NBA game. The 3-point shot. Now, I know I came out there and it was being reported in the combine. He put on a nice show from the 3-point line, and you can kind of take it for what you will. But we do know that in college, only 27% from the three, not the end all be all. We've seen guys come into the NBA and improve their game in that aspect. So that's just one of the questions. How well would that translate over into the NBA for Egor Demin? So it's going to be very interesting. Some stats that we pulled from NBA.com from the combine is that, hey, he shot 14 of 30 off the dribble, which is 46%, and then shot 17 of 25 and spot up 3-point shots. That's pretty damn good if you ask me. And like I said, the form is there. It's not like you have to come in and completely change his form to where the form is ugly. You know what I'm saying? He got to sit down with a shooting coach and improve in that regard. I think it's just about consistency and things like that. Now, does he fit with the Chicago Bulls? I don't necessarily know. Because if you're gonna draft this guy, I love the size, I love the athleticism, but I think that he's best with the ball in his hand. So if he is gonna be coming on to the Chicago Bulls, how do you utilize him? How well can he play off ball will be a big question for me in taking and looking at Deming. But I think that he brings a lot of tools that a team would like: athleticism, length, ability to help with the rebounding, ability to help with playmaking, being another ball creator on the actual basketball court. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Chicago Bulls do bite on this. How are they going to plan to make this work with Egor Demin, Josh Giddey, and Kobe White? I'm not going to keep trying to throw out the trade scenarios with Kobe White, but that seems a bit redundant to me. With that, I know Kobe White has excelled playing off ball more, but how do you split those reps amongst the three? Or what are their intentions for the Chicago Bulls if they do say, hey, we're going to go out there and slide them? I don't think you want to draft anybody at 12 to have them come off the bench and be your backup point guard, right? I think that'll be kind of crazy. I think that you can find more value at 12, you know what I'm saying, to say, all right, this player, we can get him in here. Maybe allow him to come off the bench and then be able to take the reins over, kind of like how they did Montes this past season. But again, it'll still be interesting to see what the Chicago Bulls are thinking with this, because I'm questioning what would the role be. Are you going to go out there and trot out a lineup of Giddey, Kobe, Deming, Montes, and center, maybe Vooch, at least for right now, just because Vooch is still on the team? I don't necessarily know how well. I don't necessarily feel too good about that, especially when you talk about floor spacing, because you don't want this guy and his ability to be able to utilize the basketball and be able to have that good of a handle, that good of a passing ability to just sit in a corner, or maybe I could be wrong. Maybe they can draw it up differently to make it look good, but how would the floor spacing look for these guys? I know that right now in the playoffs, a lot of teams are really taking advantage of the physicality of the game. A lot of teams are really taking advantage of, utilizing the mid-range game and utilizing the paint area, which I believe he could be a guy that thrives in that type of game simply because of the size, the ability to get to the basketball. But then also, during the regular season, there's going to be a lot of space and it's not going to be as physical as it is in the playoffs. So how does that help you translate into wins will be a big question for me. And I'm not saying that this guy is a bad player, because I think this guy's a really good player. I'm just questioning how would this fit with my Chicago Bulls. I definitely believe that this guy's very, very similar to a Josh Giddey with a little bit more athleticism. So I'm trying to see what will be the Bulls' thoughts here. What will be the plan here? Do you just want to say, hey, we want to make sure that we got two ball handlers on the floor at the same time? Did they look at, good question, did the Chicago Bulls look at the lineup of Josh Giddey, Lonzo Ball, and Kobe White on the floor at the same time, as this could possibly work with the Egor Demin in place of Lonzo Ball? But the question will be, to kind of rebuttal that, is that Lonzo Ball got the clip from the three. Can Egor be able to establish himself like that from the three-point line? It's going to be very, very interesting to see how that does translate if the Chicago Bulls take a chance at this, because he's being mocked by ESPN to go to the Chicago Bulls. We know how AK is really fond of finding long guys to be on the Chicago Bulls team, especially if you look at the history of the draft. With some of the players we brought in here, you're talking about your P. Wills, you're talking about Dalen, Julian Phillips, Justin Lewis, those players like that, kind of like those wing guys. But it's still going to bring us to the question of how do you utilize this guy properly to where he can be his best version of himself? Do you completely try to move him out of that into something else that you wanted to move into? I know that the game changes from league to league when you go from NCAA to the NBA, and sometimes what you was doing in college might not be what the team wants you to do in the NBA. It happens all the time. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see this young player, if he is selected by the Chicago Bulls, how will that translate to winning basketball for the Chicago Bulls? Again, I don't know if AK looked at some of those lineups that Billy Donovan was trotting out with Josh Giddey, Lonzo Ball, Kobe White, Montes, and then a center out there, and said, hey, maybe we can get us a younger guy that can be another ball handler for us that can help us create. But then the question still going to be right there. What does your three-point shooting look like? What does your floor spacing look like? How do you look defensively? It's very, very interesting to say the least. And I know that some people's going to be like, no more guards whatsoever. And I'm 100% with you, because I'd rather focus on the front court, but we don't know how this draft is going to pan out. And I think that the Chicago Bulls might try to do something unorthodox, something that we're not really fond of, because they have their own vision and we haven't agreed with a lot of the things they've done these past few seasons whatsoever. So why will we be shocked that the Chicago Bulls do something out of the ordinary this time around, to keep it real with you? But I like the player. I think he's a hell of a player. You come in, you get a guy like Egor Demin, who can go out there, play make, pass the ball, plays the basketball the right way, appears to have a high IQ on the basketball court, at least in the collegiate league. And you can utilize some of those tools. But again, how does it fit with the Chicago Bulls? So very, very interesting prospect here. I like the player. I just don't necessarily know how does it fit with the Chicago Bulls, or what the Chicago Bulls are trying to do if he was selected in this year's draft. But let me know all your thoughts and everything down below on Egor Demin. I think he's a hell of a talent. But again, I got my questions. I don't think that's wrong. But I love the talent that this guy comes in with, especially having all those tools and that athleticism. I think that's a good combination to bring onto your team. But we'll see, man. We'll see. But that is it for me, y'all. Make sure you drop your comments and everything down below. Let me know how you feeling about Egor Demin. And then we just gonna go ahead and chop it up and continue on dropping these videos, breaking down these prospects so we can see how these players best fit the Chicago Bulls, because we hoping that we can move in the right direction. I believe we took a step forward, but we need to continue to take steps forward. We don't need to take steps back, at least right now for the moment. But that is it for me, man. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all always see red, and y'all already know I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.
Cognac. Gang.